Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Scrapbook Pal YouTube channel. I'm Dawn Polly from D Polly Designs, and I'm so glad you could join me today. I'm really excited to share some adorable products from Lawn Fawn that I'll be using in today's project. First up, I have the Lawn Fawn Halloween Mice stamp set. It comes with the cutest images for building a fun, spooky scene, along with lots of playful sentiments. Next, we have the coordinating dies, which are available separately and pair perfectly with the stamps. You can also grab the stencils to help color in those images quickly and beautifully. Then I'll be showing you the Knock Knock Who's There die set and how you can use it to make a really fun interactive card. And finally, there's the Knock Knock Who's There tree add-on die set, which is a perfect companion to the main die set. So let's go ahead and get started. First up, I want to show you all the pieces that come in the Knock Knock Who's There die set. We have the door creator die, which makes the main door, and then the track creator, which cuts out the track for the interactive piece. There's also a pull tab that helps the door open and close, plus an extra door piece in case you want to decorate it separately. For the details, you get some cute heart-shaped or circle doorknobs and even little door hangings, both square and oval style. There's really so much you can do with this set to build an adorable scene. Next, we have the Knock Knock Who's There tree add-on die set. The neat thing about this set is that the door is separate from the tree, which gives you lots of flexibility when creating your scene. You also get some apples and a little stem to go with them. I like to use my craft pick to open the hole just a little bit, and then the stem slides right into the top of the apple. Super easy, and the apple turns out so cute. Look at that. And finally, there's the tree bush piece, which represents the leaves. The fun part is that you can die cut this as big or as small as you like, depending on how you want to design your tree. The first thing I'm going to do is die cut my tree from some gray cardstock since I'll be ink blending on top of it, and I want the tree to have a darker, spookier look. I thought starting with a deeper base would work best. For the background, I want to create a spooky glowing sky. I'm starting with Distress Oxide Squeezed Lemonade, blending it right in the center of a piece of white cardstock that I cut to 5.5 by 4.25. Next, I'm bringing in Spiced Marmalade, blending it in a circular motion so it goes in a nice sunburst effect behind the tree. And then once I've got that orange down, I go back over it with the yellow to soften the blend. And then the next color is one of my favorites for Halloween backgrounds. It is the Prized Ribbon color. I'm taking that around the edges of the paper and building up a nice dark layer. After that, I go back in with a little more of the spiced marmalade, and you'll notice when the orange and yellow mix with the blue, you get some really cool green tones peeking through. And then I blend in some more yellow to kind of brighten things up a bit. Don't worry if a little blue gets on your yellow brush, just rub it off on a scrap piece of paper and you'll be good to go. To finish it off, I'm bringing in black soot around the edges. It really adds that eerie Halloween vibe. And remember, if it looks too dark at first, don't worry, the black soot always lightens up as it dries. For the tree, I'm starting with Distress Oxide Hickory Smoke over the gray cardstock. You could definitely start with white cardstock if you'd like. You'll just need to do a little extra ink blending to build up the color. Once I've got that base layer down, I bring in some black soot and blend it over almost the entire tree, leaving it just a little bit of the gray showing in the middle. This gives it a nice shaded effect and makes the tree look more dimensional. To make the tree look even more airy, I take some Gina K amalgam ink and blend it around the edges of the tree. It doesn't lighten up as much as the black soot does, so it really helps to highlight those edges and give the tree a spooky glow. Next, I thought it would be fun to add a little detail. I'm using the Lawn Fawn Sweet Spider stamp set, which has the perfect little spider web. I die cut the web from some white cardstock and then blend over it with the hickory smoke to give it a gray, worn look. Finally, I take just a little bit of the amalgam ink again and dab it randomly over the web, not too much, just in a few spots so it has a slightly distressed, creepy feel. Now I'm going to adhere the ink blended background onto a black top folding A2 card base. I'm positioning it so that the card will open in landscape style. Now let's create the mechanism for our interactive card. This is the door creator die. You'll notice it has a little arrow at the top and another at the bottom. These make it really easy to line everything up. With the card open, place the die on the front panel so that the arrows line up perfectly with the fold line of the card. Once it's taped in place, you're going to run it through your die cut machine, and when it comes out, you'll have a perfectly cut little door that opens and closes. Now we're going to create the track for the pull tab. The track creator die also has an arrow which helps keeps everything aligned. The arrow should line up with the door, and the bottom of the die lines up with the bottom edge of the door. And then I'm going to tape it in place and run it through the die cut machine, and the track will be ready for the pull tab mechanism. Now we're going to flip the card base over to the inside of the card. I've already die cut the pull tab from some black cardstock. You'll notice there's a little score line on the pull tab. That's where we'll fold it, and we want to fold it away from ourselves. Next, take the T-shaped piece and slide it right into the track that we created earlier. Once it's in place, you'll see how the pull tab can move back and forth smoothly along the track, which is what makes the interactive door mechanism work. Next, I'm going to take some score tape and placing it right onto the small tab that we folded along the score line. After that, I'm going to make sure the pull tab is lined up evenly within the track. This helps ensure that when we adhere the door to pull the tab, it won't end up crooked. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, just try to keep it pretty straight so the door opens and closes smoothly. I like to use my craft pick to help position the pull tab right in the center of the track. Once that's in place, I fold the door piece down onto the pull tab, and just like that, you've got a working door mechanism that opens and closes the door. Now I'm going to adhere the tree directly onto the card front, positioning it over the left-hand side, right over the top of the door. Next, I'll take the tree trunk door piece and adhere it over the interactive door we just created so it looks like part of the tree. As you can see, there's a little bit of white showing around the door. It doesn't really bother me, but if you'd like, you could take a black Sharpie and go around the edges to blend it with the tree color. Now, after I adhered the tree, I decided I wanted some grass on the card. I'm using the Lawn Fawn grassy border die, and I'm cutting it from some green cardstock. I guess the ideal thing would have been to cut the grass border and adhere it to the card front before I adhered the tree, because then I could have just placed the tree over the edge. But no worries, I can fix it. Once I die cut my border, I'm going to take the tree die and place it right over the edge of the grass border. When I run it through my die cut machine, it will give me an edge that fits perfectly against the side of the tree. And actually, I think it works out better this way, since you don't get a little lump where the tree would cover the edge of the grass border. So I'm actually happy with how it turned out. Next, let's move on to the images. I'm coloring them in using stencils. I really love these stencils because the images are laid out in a row. They go in order, one image after another, which makes it so much easier to follow along. I find this method simpler than working on several images at one time. Now, I'm not going to color in each individual image on camera because this tutorial would just be way too long. So I'm going to just color in one image for you so you can see how easy it is to work with the stencils. For this card, I'm working on the little mouse flying on the broomstick. I start with Pink Fresh Studio Dough color and I add it to the body of the mouse. For the broom bristles, I use Pink Fresh Studio Sweet Mustard, and then I add a touch of the marigold for some highlights. Next, I switched to my Copic marker R11 to color the ears and the nose. At this point, I realized the body of the mouse was too light. The pink in the ears and nose really wasn't standing out, so I deepened the color by blending in a little Distress Oxide ground espresso. I didn't even add any new ink to my brush, and I just used what was already on it while I had that color out. I also used it to shade the broom handle. Then I grabbed a red marker to color the band on the hat. This shows how easy it is to mix between ink blending and markers if you wanted to. Finally, I finished off the image with Distress Oxide Black Soot for the hat, and that completes my little mouse. Once my coloring was finished, I used the coordinating dies to cut out all of my images. I also went ahead and stamped a little spider from the Sweet Spider stamp set along with the sentiments Boo and Happy Halloween. I quickly colored in my little spider with some Copic markers. After I die cut my images, I decided I didn't want the white border around the trees. I wanted them to match the big tree, so I took my amalgam ink and blended it around the edges of all the die cuts. I like this much better, but you can definitely leave the edges white if you prefer. To finish off the interactive part of the card, I added foam tape to the top half of the card and then a couple of strips going down the side, and that's it. You don't want to put any near the mechanism or it won't move properly. And then the last step is to close the card over the foam tape, and this creates the mechanism. And look at how smoothly that the little door opens and closes. Now let's put all of our images onto the card. I attached the little lollipop to my ghost's hand, and then I placed the Boo sentiment over the top of the lollipop. I wanted it to look like the ghost is holding a little sign that says Boo. I thought that would be really cute. Next, I added some glue onto the pull tab and adhered my image in place. Go easy the first time you close it to make sure your image is lined up correctly and tucked underneath the opening. Once that's in place, look at how cute this is. I love how you can open and close the door and this little guy just peeks out at you. To finish things off, I adhered the grass border along the bottom of the card front, and then I tucked the trees behind the grass before the glue dried. I trimmed off the excess grass with scissors to give it a clean edge, and then I added the clouds and the mouse on the broomstick to the scene. I also placed the spider web over the top of the tree. You can position this however you like. I let a little bit of the top of the spider web hang over and then I just trimmed it, but you could adjust it so you don't have to cut it at all if you wanted. Finally, I added the sentiment and the little spider to the web, and look at how cute this is. I think it turned out absolutely adorable. And to finish off the card, I adhere the entire card front to an A2 side folding card as my card base. Make sure not to put any glue around the mechanism so that the pull tab can move freely. And that's it. That's going to complete this adorable interactive card. I just absolutely love how this turned out, and anybody would love to have this cute little card. Thank you so much for joining me here on the Scrapbook Pal YouTube channel. I'd love to hear what you think of the card, so please leave a comment below and let me know. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the Scrapbook Pal YouTube channel as well as their other social media platforms so you never miss out on any other inspiring content. And be sure to check out their website for the latest new releases and amazing crafting supplies. As always, thank you for spending part of your day with me, and I hope you have a wonderful and creative day. Until next time.